Ladies and gentlemen, let's be real for a moment. When we hear the word positions, our minds start racing. But today, I'm not talking about what happens behind closed doors. I'm talking about something far more powerful. The positions of leadership, ambition, courage, confidence, and vision that too many women hesitate to take, even when men are begging for them to rise. See, in today's world, opportunities aren't lacking, action is. Men are stepping up, asking women to take charge, to lead, to dream bigger. But too often, fear, doubt, and old beliefs hold them back. So today I'm not here to entertain you. I'm here to challenge you, to make you think differently about power, purpose, and potential. Because by the end of this talk, I promise, you'll never look at positions the same way again. Leadership is not a title, it is a state of mind, a choice to rise when others wait. Taking charge instead of waiting for permission means understanding that power is rarely handed to you. It's something you claim through action, vision, and belief in yourself. Too many people, especially women, grow up with the idea that leadership is granted by others, that someone needs to tap your shoulder, give you the go-ahead, or validate your potential. But true leadership is born the moment you stop waiting and start doing. It begins in that small decision to speak when your voice trembles, to step forward even when you are unsure, to trust your instincts even when the room doubts you. Taking charge does not mean being loud or dominant, it means being accountable, intentional, and courageous. It is about realizing that no one is coming to save you or hand you the perfect opportunity wrapped in a bow. Leaders create opportunities from chaos. They don't need an invitation to start something great. They give themselves permission to begin. Every great movement, business, or transformation began because someone decided to act without waiting for approval. History rewards those who dare to lead even when it's uncomfortable. Women, in particular, have been conditioned to wait for the right time, the right words, the right conditions, or the right nod of approval from society. From childhood, girls are often told to be careful, to be polite, to not take up too much space. Meanwhile, boys are told to take risks, to lead, to conquer. These subtle messages shape confidence and decision-making later in life. By adulthood, this conditioning often manifests as hesitation to apply for a promotion unless every qualification is met, hesitation to speak up in meetings unless absolutely certain, hesitation to start that business because it might fail. But leadership thrives in the absence of certainty. If you wait until you are completely ready, you'll never move. Taking charge starts with shifting your mindset from permission, seeking to purpose, driven. You don't need someone to approve your dreams. You need to decide that your dreams matter. The world doesn't need another follower waiting in line, it needs more people willing to disrupt the pattern. When you see a problem and think, someone should fix that, that someone is you. Leaders recognize gaps and fill them. They see what's missing and act instead of complaining. Waiting for permission keeps you safe, but it also keeps you small. Growth happens outside the comfort of approval. True leadership also involves responsibility. Taking charge doesn't mean doing everything alone or forcing others to follow. It means being accountable for outcomes, for energy, for vision. It means leading by example, not by authority. People don't follow titles, they follow clarity, consistency, and conviction. When you take charge, you become a mirror that reflects possibility for others. You give silent permission for others to rise too. When one person chooses to lead boldly, it becomes a ripple effect. Suddenly others begin to believe they can too. Leadership is not only about positions of power, it's about influence, impact, and initiative. You can lead from any seat in any setting at any age. A woman leading her family with resilience is a leader. A young student standing up for fairness in her classroom is a leader. An employee challenging the status quo to improve her company is a leader. Leadership happens the moment you decide to take responsibility for change. It doesn't start with a promotion, it starts with initiative. One of the greatest misconceptions about leadership is that it requires permission from others. People often wait for a manager to recognize their effort, for an opportunity to be offered, for someone else to take the first step. But the world doesn't move forward by waiting. It moves when people decide that enough waiting has been done. The truth is, those who take initiative often create their own platforms. They don't wait to be chosen, they choose themselves. The most successful leaders are not those who had the easiest path, but those who dared to take charge in uncertain moments. Taking charge requires confidence. But confidence is not something you are born with. It is something you build by taking small actions that prove to yourself you can handle more. Each time you speak up, volunteer, or take the lead, you teach your mind that you are capable. Confidence grows from evidence, not imagination. Many people believe they must feel confident before they lead, but confidence is the result of leading, not the requirement. You act first, the confidence follows. Leaders also know how to navigate fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of being wrong. These emotions are real, but they can't dictate your direction. Every great leader feels fear, but they act despite it. Waiting for permission is often a disguise for fear. It feels safer to delay action until someone else validates the decision. But courage is the ability to move forward, even when fear whispers that you shouldn't. The greatest breakthroughs come from people who stopped waiting for the fear to fade and decided to move anyway. Taking charge is also about owning your narrative. If you don't define your story, someone else will. Leadership means being intentional about how you show up, what you stand for, and how you use your voice. In workplaces, this could mean sharing your ideas confidently, even if they challenge the norm. In life, it could mean setting boundaries, saying no to things that drain you, and yes to things that fulfill you. Taking charge means you no longer let circumstances define your direction, you define your circumstances through choice and action. Many women underestimate their influence because they compare themselves to others who seem more powerful or established. But leadership is not comparison, it's contribution. You don't have to be the best in the room, you just need to bring your unique value to it. The best leaders lift others up, not by being perfect, but by being authentic. They make decisions from a place of integrity, not insecurity. Taking charge doesn't mean having all the answers, it means being willing to find them. It's about progress, not perfection. There will always be people who doubt you when you decide to take charge, especially if you don't fit their image of a leader. But leadership isn't about fitting in, it's about standing out for the right reasons. Every time a woman steps into leadership, she challenges centuries of conditioning that told her to wait, to shrink, to be quiet. Every act of leadership, no matter how small, is an act of rebellion against limitation. Taking charge is not arrogance, it's ownership. It's saying, I am capable, and I'm no longer waiting for anyone else to confirm it. The power of taking charge also lies in resilience. Leaders get knocked down, misunderstood, and criticized, but they rise again. They understand that setbacks are not signals to stop, they are lessons to grow stronger. The willingness to take charge also means accepting that mistakes will happen, and that growth sometimes looks like failure before it looks like success. Those who wait for perfect conditions never experience growth, because they never begin. Those who take charge learn faster, because they are in motion. Leaders inspire action, not by demanding it, but by embodying it. When you take charge of your own life, you create an example for others to follow. You show that authority is not given by others, it is assumed through confidence and consistency. In a world full of followers, the person who takes initiative naturally becomes the one people look to. Leadership is contagious. When you move, others move. When you decide, others decide. When you believe, others begin to believe. Taking charge instead of waiting for permission also applies to self-leadership, the ability to direct your own thoughts, habits, and choices. The hardest person to lead is often yourself. It's easy to motivate others, but it takes discipline to motivate yourself when no one is watching. True leaders master self-leadership first. They hold themselves accountable to their goals, they keep promises to themselves, and they act with integrity even when it's inconvenient. Without self-leadership, external leadership cannot last. Leadership is an act of service as much as it is an act of strength. Taking charge means not just thinking about your success, but about the people and causes that will benefit when you rise. When you lead, you open doors for others. When you take charge, you create pathways for those who will come after you. The impact of leadership multiplies far beyond your personal achievements. It becomes a legacy of courage and change. Ultimately, taking charge is about believing that your presence matters. It's about rejecting the myth that someone else knows better or that you must be chosen to make a difference. The moment you decide to stop waiting, everything changes. You start to see opportunities where there used to be obstacles. You start to speak where you once stayed silent. You start to build where you once only dreamed. Leadership becomes not something you chase, but something you embody every single day through the way you think, act, and show up. Confidence is not the absence of doubt, it is the decision to move forward despite it. Owning your worth unapologetically means standing in who you are without shrinking, without diluting your presence, and without waiting for validation to confirm that you are enough. Too often, people, especially women, are taught to play small, to soften their edges, to downplay their achievements so they don't appear arrogant. Society has built invisible cages around confidence, labeling it as pride or ego when expressed by women, but calling it strength when displayed by men. Owning your worth unapologetically is about breaking those cages and reclaiming your right to be seen, heard, and valued. Confidence begins with awareness. You can't own what you don't recognize. So the first step is to know your worth, not based on other people's opinions, but based on your values, skills, and experiences. Every challenge you've overcome, every failure you've learned from, every success you've built is part of your value. The problem is that most people underestimate themselves while overestimating others. They see the highlight reels of other people's lives and compare them to their behind-the-scenes struggles. Confidence comes when you stop measuring your value against someone else's journey and start appreciating your own path for what it has taught you. Owning your worth also means refusing to apologize for existing as your full self. Have you noticed how often people, especially women, begin their sentences with, "Sorry. Sorry for speaking up. Sorry for taking up time. Sorry for having an opinion." This constant apologizing dilutes presence. It sends the message that your existence requires permission. But it doesn't. You have every right to occupy space, to speak your truth, and to take pride in your contributions. Confidence is not arrogance. It is self-respect in motion. It is the energy that says, "I know what I bring to the table, and I'm not afraid to sit at it." When you own your worth unapologetically, you stop seeking external validation as your primary source of confidence. Compliments, praise, and recognition are wonderful, but they should be bonuses, not lifelines. If your confidence is built only on external approval, it becomes fragile. One criticism, one rejection, one missed opportunity can shatter it. True confidence is internal. It's the quiet belief that even when no one claps, you are still capable, still valuable, still enough. You no longer need to prove your worth, you live it. Owning your worth means setting boundaries without guilt. When you respect yourself, you naturally protect your energy and your peace. Confidence allows you to say no when something doesn't align with your goals or values, without feeling the need to justify it. Many people equate saying no with being selfish, but in truth, boundaries are an act of self-leadership. They tell the world how you expect to be treated. They communicate that your time, energy, and attention are valuable resources, not open access. Every time you choose yourself over pleasing others, you strengthen your sense of worth. Confidence is not a constant feeling of power, it's a practice. There will be moments when you doubt yourself, when insecurity creeps in, when imposter syndrome whispers that you're not qualified or ready. Even the most confident people experience these moments. The difference is that they don't let those feelings decide their actions. They move forward anyway. Confidence is built through repetition, through showing up for yourself even when you're scared. Each time you do something that challenges your comfort zone, speak in public, Ask for a raise, start a project, express your opinion. You build evidence that you can handle more. That evidence becomes your foundation. Owning your worth unapologetically also means redefining failure. People often fear failure because they see it as proof that they aren't good enough. But confidence transforms failure into feedback. Every setback becomes data that refines your strategy and strengthens your resilience. Confident people don't deny their mistakes. They learn from them and move forward wiser. They know that one failure does not define their value. The ability to separate your self-worth from your performance is one of the most powerful expressions of confidence. You can fail and still be worthy. You can fall and still rise stronger. Confidence is reflected in how you speak about yourself. Your words create your reality. If you constantly downplay your achievements, dismiss compliments, or talk about yourself in negative terms, you are unconsciously teaching others how to treat you. The way you describe yourself matters because it shapes your identity. Instead of saying, "I'm just lucky," say, "I worked hard for this." Instead of saying, "It's not a big deal," say, "Thank you. I'm proud of what I accomplished." Language is not just communication. It's affirmation. Speaking confidently about yourself is not arrogance, it's truth-telling. Owning your worth also requires letting go of comparison. The moment you start comparing your journey to someone else's, you disconnect from your own progress. Comparison steals joy, kills confidence, and blinds you to how far you've come. Everyone's path is different. Different timing, different struggles, different lessons. Confidence is knowing that your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's to be meaningful. You can celebrate someone else's success without questioning your own. You can admire others without dimming your own light. Unapologetic confidence also involves being comfortable with visibility. Many people fear being seen because visibility invites judgment. When you step into the spotlight, you become vulnerable to opinions, criticism, and misunderstanding. But leadership and influence require visibility. You can't inspire others by hiding. Owning your worth means being brave enough to be seen for who you are, not who you think people want you to be. Authentic confidence radiates. It doesn't seek attention. It attracts it naturally because it's real. Confidence is quiet power. It doesn't demand recognition, it commands respect. You can feel it in the way someone walks into a room, in how they speak, in the way they carry themselves. It's not loud or boastful. It's grounded, steady, and self-assured. You can't fake real confidence for long, because it comes from alignment between who you are and how you show up. When your actions, words, and values align, confidence flows effortlessly. Owning your worth unapologetically also means allowing yourself to take credit for your growth. Too often, people dismiss their achievements as luck or timing instead of acknowledging the effort behind them. Confidence honors effort. It recognizes that success is not accidental. It's earned through persistence, consistency, and courage. When you own your achievements, you reinforce your belief in your capability to do more. You create a mental archive of proof that reminds you, even in moments of doubt, that you have done hard things before and can do them again. Confidence also thrives on self-compassion. The way you treat yourself during hard times reflects how deeply you value yourself. Many people are kind to others but cruel to themselves, holding themselves to impossible standards. Confidence doesn't come from perfection, it comes from acceptance. When you own your worth, you understand that flaws don't make you unworthy, they make you human. You learn to be gentle with yourself when you fall short and to celebrate yourself when you make progress. Self-compassion builds emotional resilience, which fuels long-term confidence. Owning your worth unapologetically means dressing, speaking, and behaving in ways that align with your identity, not in ways that make others comfortable. It's about expressing yourself authentically without filtering your personality to fit into other people's boxes. Whether you're bold and outspoken or calm and introspective, your authenticity is your power. When you stop performing for acceptance, you create space for genuine confidence to grow. The most magnetic people are those who are unapologetically themselves. Confidence is also about taking up space in conversations. in opportunities in life. Too often, people make themselves smaller, speaking softly, avoiding eye contact, stepping aside, letting others go first. But you have every right to be where you are. You earned your place. Owning your worth means holding your ground, maintaining eye contact, and speaking with conviction. It means showing up with presence instead of hesitation. You don't have to be aggressive to be confident, you just have to stop apologizing for existing fully. Owning your worth also transforms how you handle relationships and opportunities. When you know your value, you stop settling for less than you deserve. You stop chasing people who don't see your worth, because you recognize that their inability to value you says more about them than it does about you. You attract connections, opportunities, and environments that reflect your level of self-respect. Confidence creates alignment. When you raise your standards, your life begins to match them. Confidence isn't about knowing you're better than others. It's about knowing you have something valuable to offer. It's about embracing your unique strengths and understanding that your presence brings something no one else can replicate. The world doesn't need another copy of someone else. It needs you, in your full, authentic form. When you own your worth unapologetically, you give others permission to do the same. You become a mirror for possibility, showing others that it's safe to shine. The most powerful people are not those who never doubt themselves, but those who refuse to let doubt define them. Confidence is a lifelong practice of choosing yourself again and again, especially when it feels uncomfortable. It's about walking into every room knowing that your value is not up for negotiation. It's about being proud of your voice, your ideas, your story, and your presence. When you own your worth unapologetically, you stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start declaring, "I am enough."